dive on it.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor. They try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good. Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, layup. Got it. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
Wayne Spooney here for First to the Floor podcast. We got Jake Eisenberg and, of course, a very special guest, Drew Hanlen, CEO of Pure Sweat Basketball, but Celtics fans know him as the trainer of Jayson Tatum. Drew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to join you guys. You know what I mean? Obviously, Celtics fans always show a ton of love whenever I'm up in Boston, but it's cool to be able to break down some of the insights to some of the things behind the scenes that they don't normally get to hear about.
Yeah. They show a lot of love when the 3-point shot's going in, and then they're like, Drew, can you get your ass immediately to Boston as soon as he goes 1 for 8 for one game? Yeah.
I don't think y'all realize that I'm just so used to it now. I mean, I've been obviously training NBA guys since I was a sophomore in college, and back then when I first started, I like would read everything, and now I laugh at everything. And I'm one of those people that, like, if somebody says something too reckless, I just block them. And then it's funny because if I block them on Twitter, they'll go in my Instagram DMs, Coach Drew, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. And I'm like, it is what it is. So people think that it offends me, and they're like, oh man, he really takes it personal. I'm like, I just block you because I'm not going to let you even see my stuff if you're going to hate on it. So I laugh about it all the time. And trust me, do you know how many Celtics fans blamed me for Jayson gaining weight? And I'm like, first off, him and Nick Stang have done an unbelievable job of developing him as an athlete. I don't even do that. I don't even teach him how to lift weight. I don't know anything myself, but I get blamed for that. Or the Celtics, they wanted him to obviously not shoot mid-range twos really. Early in his career, he shot, I think he led the league one year in mid-range twos. And since we've changed his shot profile, the Celtics have won a championship and lost another one, but got to the finals. And Celtics fans still complain about his shot profile because it doesn't look as – I'm like, guys, they're winning basketball games. So, I again, a lot of times you can't really you don't want to fight back. You just kind of laugh and say they're clueless. They have no idea what's going on. So that's why these things are fun.
Absolutely. Jake is the king of fighting back. So if you ever catch him on Twitter, but he's going in on people in defense of Tatum. So
I snap every once in a while, but when I do it, I just I go ahead and put the hammer down, where it's just I'll just respond with facts that they can't argue with. But
they try.
Yeah, it's why basketball, it's why basketball social media is so entertaining. That's why I'll put it. It's entertaining. You know what I mean? Because it really is just a bunch of trolls. And I think that Elon Musk, the thing that he should do is when you post a tweet, you should have to literally they should get what was the one app? I forgot what it was, but it was Real Time or Be Real or
yeah. Be real.
Where basically it was they got to take a selfie of you. But can you imagine seeing some of these people that didn't make it past freshman basketball, and they're over here telling Jayson Tatum that him leading his team in points, rebounds, assists in the NBA Finals isn't good enough? It's come on, man.
Hey, that's me, freshman basketball captain. You're talking to right here. So, but I'm on your side, Drew. So don't worry. You have to worry about me.
I love that. Yeah. No, it is fun, and I do think the Celtics fans, for the most part, are super supportive. Obviously, they wear their heart on a sleeve, and if they don't. If they're not getting the product that they want on the floor, I get blamed for it. But, most of the time they do show a lot more love than hate. And I know the ones that are mainly showing hate are honestly not real fans anyway. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And Drew has a book coming out actually February 11th, 2025.
Oh,
yeah, let's go.
You guys, the only thing you guys will care about is that name right there, Jayson Tatum.
Is he a contributing author? Or?
Yeah, he
nice.
was one of him and Joel Embiid wrote the forwards to the book, and awesome. There's some really cool stories that have never been told before about Jayson. We started working together when he was 13 years old. And, so I shared some of the insights of, what went into, tapping into his mentality back then. And, that's the cool thing of the book is a self-help book. So it's really like Atomic Habits meets the subtle art of not giving a fuck. And it's that real world, like get the excuses out of your life so that you can actually accomplish the things you want. But the thing that people don't realize is I spend just as much time helping my athletes and my clients develop their mentality and their confidence as I do their basketball game. And that's really what drives winning on the court and what drives success in anything you do in life is the ability to, one, believe that whatever you're after is, obtainable and possible. And then two, being able to put together a strategic blueprint so that you can shrink the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. And for a lot of these guys, I've been with them their entire careers. And that's what I take most pride in is the development process. It's not like, you'll see some trainers that you get a guy in the gym for one time and they shout him out, or, they might see him at dinner and post a selfie with them. Like the guys that I've been with, the majority of them I've been with for, their high school and college and their entirety of their NBA careers, which is, it's fun. It's a long process, but it's a rewarding process when you're getting the results.
Yeah, no, I love that. And the book definitely speaks to Mazzulla's, I guess, psychotic mentality. Yeah. Not psychotic mentality.
I love it. Oh,
yeah.
man.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, and I think you can really feel that kind of mentality through the Celtics. It's a very mature, very like mentally stable, mentally strong group. And I think that Tatum's been a big part of that culture as well. Horford, obviously yourself, helping Tatum forge that part of his identity as well. And I'm sure, Mazzulla, I don't know, have you and Mazzulla kind of like chopped it up a little bit about this type of stuff?
Yeah, we're both sick in the head. So,
Yeah.
we love each other. He's one of my favorite coaches around the league just because I do think he's so real. I think that, he's super transparent. I think that, allows him to be really successful because he has a really good grasp on everything that's going on in his players' heads and his players' hearts. And, I think that that's a separator for him because, to be honest with you, X's and O's, we all can study the same game film. And we all do, and the NBA is a big copycat league. And, we all know the numbers behind, what makes winning teams win and what makes losing teams lose. But, being able to help tap into those next levels is something that he's been really good at. And I've seen him even, evolve as a coach, over his short period of time as being a head coach. But he's a competitor. His players love him. And he does study his ass off. And, and that's the thing that I respect most about him is, he's one of those guys that has had a ton of success early on as a head coach, but he's never satisfied. It's one of those things where he's sick enough to celebrate now and then, put his thinking back, cap back on. And, I remember when he was, got his knee surgery this offseason, he was like, man, that's the best thing to get knocked down when you're on top.
Yeah.
I love that mentality. So, he's a great guy. And I think that, Celtics fans should really appreciate who they have, at the helm of the ship.
Yeah. And he currently has the highest winning percentage of any coach ever right now. So it's clearly working, but could you break down how much communication you have? I mean, you talked about talking with Mazzulla, but like other Celtics trainers, other development staff, and do the Celtics handle your involvement differently? Are there some teams that involve you more or less? And you could be general, of course, but.
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics have welcomed me with open arms from the day that Jayson got drafted. Believe it or not, I knew Brad when he was back at Butler, from me being recruited as a mid-major point guard to my college roommate, TJ Saint, who's now the head coach of the G League squadron team, New Orleans Pelicans. He actually was a GA for Brad Stevens at Butler. And so I've known them for a long time. They came out and Jayson worked out with me in LA for the pre-draft. And it was funny because Dave Lewin, for years, I was telling him, I was like, I got the number one pick in the draft. I got the best kid in high school basketball. I got the most ready NBA player I've ever had. And I was bragging about him. And then finally draft time came. And, those guys were one of three teams that came out and watched Jayson work out for individual workouts during the pre-draft process. the Sixers did, the Celtics did, and the Suns did. And I remember, having Danny Ainge and Brad and, their entire front office there courtside watching Jayson, and they're like, this is our guy, And so they also knew how close Jayson and I were, and they had seen the development that he had, throughout his high school career. And, they're all about like whatever's going to help our players be the best on the court. That's what we're all for. And it truly is. Boston is a special, they're from their front office, the coaching staff to, everybody involved. It's just a special program just because everybody really does just want the best on and off the court for all the players and people involved. And they've welcomed me open arms from the beginning, and they continue to welcome me with open arms. And we do all work together. It's, Nick Sang and I are obviously working together all the time because he's working on the development of Jayson's body. I'm working on the development of Jayson's game and mindset. And so we're always trying to push and pull the same directions. But also there's a ton of conversation with Joe and with Brad and with, other members just to make sure that we're all pushing the same messages, because the last thing that you want is a confused player or a player that has to pick and choose, like, what to do and what not to do. And so that's what we've always done. That's one of the things I respected about the Celtics organization. They've always rallied the troops really well, got everybody on the same page, and then we've all pushed and pulled. And if there are different messages or different ideas, then we just talk them out, figure out the best solution, and then, move forward with them. But ultimately, we all want the same thing. We want Jayson to impact winning at his highest level possible. And he's been able to do a really good job of that so far in his career. And we want him to continue to become, what we think is going to be one of the greatest basketball players that's ever played the game.
Yeah, and Mazzulla actually said something similar to that, like in that starting five doc. He's like, I'm very like precise about when I communicate with Jayson, because he's being pulled from so many different ways, just like by simply being a superstar. And I like that symmetry between you guys. You mentioned like Celtics world-class organization. Couldn't agree more. Very topical. And
you guys think they're a good organization?
No bias.
I agree. And an organization that I think might be a little less world-class. You don't have to agree with me here, Drew, but it is topical because I just watched a clip of Magic Johnson talking about the draft process and Tatum, because Tatum has said recently, like,
what did he say? Because I didn't see that.
Well, yeah, I literally just watched it, and so Tatum, he said they didn't really want me, and then Magic was like, we had so many forwards, so that was one thing, but then Jayson's agent told him to not work out for us, and I'm like, I find that hard to believe.
I'm not going to overspeak, but that's not true.
Yes.
Jayson grew up a Kobe fan.
Exactly, we know.
We were working out in Los Angeles. And the only team that didn't go visit him in the top four was Los Angeles. So, there wasn't interest there. And trust me, that crushed us. You know what I mean? I was living in LA, so I was like, that saves me one more trip. You know what I mean? I'm on the road 24/7. And the Kobe connection and everything like that, it made so much sense. But what Magic said was not 100% accurate. I just remember being in those conversations, and the truth was they did at the end kind of reach out and say like, hey, we'd love to come and stop by. But Jayson's agent did a good job of protecting his client and saying, listen, if you have no interest, if you guys don't show genuine interest, then we're not letting you in the doors. And the genuine interest just wasn't there.
I love it. Well, it worked out for everybody except for the Los Angeles Lakers, which is
shame
great news for everybody here. So Tatum's development and why a big reason about why we love Tatum is like he clearly has a very serious commitment to getting better every year. Is there like a development roadmap? Like, okay, early 20s, late 20s, early 30s, or is it? I'm sure it's both, but like then after each season you review what worked well, what didn't work as well, and then go from there. Could you speak to more the macro development?
I'm going back to this forward. So obviously I don't want to share too much, but in the forward, Jayson talks about his first workout with me ever as a 13-year-old. And, the first thing I did was I tested his mentality just to see if he had what it took. And then he talks about, our first week of workouts, we didn't even shoot a jump shot. This is a 13-year-old kid. And I was like, hey, we're going to start with the basics. We got to get you good at the jab. And we went and watched film of Kobe and T-Mac and Michael Jordan and Carmelo and KD. And we started breaking it down. And then we went through all the nuances of the jab. And then I was like, day 4 or 5, I was like, all right, you ready to move on? He's like, finally. And I'm like, now we got the jab, one dribble pull up. And he was like, come on, bro. And he had seen that. The other crazy thing is, like, he had seen all Brad Beal's workouts, because that's like a big brother, little brother. So he's like, I want all those moves. And I'm like, this is where I started with Brad, and it's clearly working for him. This is how we're going to follow that same blueprint, because it worked for Brad. And we're going to add in a little bit of, some more mid post, because you're at the time was, I don't know, 6'5", maybe 6'6". I don't know how tall he was back then, but we knew he was going to be taller. And so we were like, we're going to add some more mid post than Brad would have. It really is just every year we've had like a blueprint of, hey, first thing we're going to do is going to get you good with your footwork, because we know if you have good footwork, then you can take your game to crazy levels. And then we're going to get good at mid post, and then we're going to get good at mid range, and then we're going to get good. And I remember people thought I was crazy, but there was one EYBL. So EYBL, Nike EYBL is like the AAU circuit for Nike teams. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I believe the entire summer he shot 7 3-pointers. He was like 1 for 7 from 3. And it was because we were changing the shot. And I told him, don't shoot threes. I don't want to mess up the process of you building this shot. And most high school players would have looked at me like I was crazy, but Jayson always had on his mind, like, I want to be one of the best basketball players ever, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there. And so, that all happened. And it's always just a constant ask of, like, what do we need to do better? How can we improve? You guys have seen, each year Jayson's got better, whether it's getting downhill, like he's finishing at an unbelievable rate at the rim. A big reason of that was in the 2022 finals. He struggled when, the refs were not blowing their whistle and he's getting hacked. And so we said, okay, we got to be better finishing through fouls and through contact. And he's got better. Then it became, all right, we're going to tilt the floor and we're going to load up and we're just going to basically take away Jayson as a scorer. So then it was like, all right, we got to, improve as a playmaker, as a, somebody that can, really pick apart defenses. And you just see the evolution to his game. And again, people like to nitpick all the time and stuff like that. But he has everything in his bag. He's got all the tools, and he's a winning player. He does it on both ends. And so, when you look, some people will be like, Celtics are a super team. And trust me, they have a lot of great players. But like, Jayson is the reason why this Celtics team is a super team. And it's because he's able to play with everyone. There's some superstars that you have to literally like special hand pick, like who's around them. Jayson, you can throw anybody and he's going to make them better. And like I said, he can switch 1 through 5. He can attack any matchup. Right now, he's leading the league in isolations, efficiency. And, he's a guy that's averaging, 28, 10 and something, 5, 6 assists. And that's him also missing some fourth quarters because they're winning games by a lot. And, I said something the other day and people thought I might have been crazy, but I'm like, if you threw him on some of these shitty teams, like he could easily lead the league in scoring. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be hard for him to do, but he's trying to win games. And so, I think sometimes he gets punished for whatever reason because, he's not out there stat padding. He's out there trying to win basketball games, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to win. And, I don't know where we got away from winning being the most important thing, but, Jayson's won at such a high level for his entire career that I think people like hold it against him that he's like, he's only top 5 in the league in scoring while averaging double-digit rebounders as a wing, while being able to switch 1 through 5, while being, literally double-teamed and guarded as the number 1 option. Like, well, what are we talking about here, people? You know what I mean? Like, I think he's going to be one of those guys that when you look up in a couple of years, you're going to be like, wait a second, he's putting together like an all-time career. Like, we got to start showing some love and giving him flowers before it's too late.
Yeah, you've been writing about how Tatum's the wing version of Duncan for a year or 2 now.
I mean, Jayson's again. Duncan's a great example of people didn't give him enough credit for how truly special he was. I mean, a guy who won MVPs, was all defense like every year. Was a guy that won 5 championships. Was a guy that accomplished so many special things in his career. But And again, I think they do it in different ways. Like Jayson is putting up even better numbers offensively than Duncan did. I would say that Duncan was a better defensive player. But again, I think it has to be one of those things where he's going to have to, continue to win at a high level. And I think if he hangs another banner or two, I think there's going to be some trolls on social media. That Simpson meme where they kind of back up into the bush.
Yeah, back to the hedge. Yeah,
I'm hoping that he can hang another one or two up here shortly, so that that we start seeing some of those trolls go away. And again, they're going to keep hating on him. They're going to find something new to hate on him. People hate on Steph Curry and LeBron and Michael Jordan, and we're going, what are we doing? But I do think he's putting together an all-time career.
Yeah, winning is all that matters until Jayson Tatum wins. And then it's not all that matters. His 3-point shot at the Olympics is all that matters somehow for some reason. But so I think we all know JT has an insane work ethic. It's part of what makes him great. Like, do you have any examples of how psychotic his work ethic is?
I mean, a great example is this summer. He wins a championship. He wins a gold medal. And then he goes to China for, he had to do something, I think, with Jordan Brand in China. And he says, hey, literally the next day when I get back, I need you in Boston and we're doing 2-a-days. I'm fixing my shot. I mean, you win a championship while leading your team in points, rebounds, and assists. You go win a second gold medal and you go to China afterwards for a marketing appearance. And the next day you want to start 2-a-days? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's a great. I don't even think I have to go back in the archive to give you a better example. Just, you know what I mean? So, again, he's always been about that. After we talk after every game, I'm sending him clips. We're just voicing over stuff. We're talking about what he could do better, what he should do better, and he knows that he's far from a finished product, and I think that's scary to a lot of folks, but. He's really young, and most people don't hit their prime this early. That's when he won last year. That's what we talked about. We were like, some of the all-time greats didn't win until they were 28, 29, 30. You know what I mean? You got one early. Like, now it's time to apply some pressure. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that's where I start out.
That's what we've been saying the whole time. In the bubble, 25, 10 and 5. It's look at the list of dudes that have done that in the playoffs and getting to the conference finals. The 2022 finals, dude was in his age 23 season, and this is the opposite of normal. This stuff doesn't happen, and so for that, the trajectory is insane. So you talked about wanting to fix his shot, and I wrote about Tatum's jumper. It was Can Tatum shoot? Is Tatum a good shooter? / does it actually matter? And the point of it was this is such a small sample size compared to a 7-year career of being an incredible shooter, high volume. The catch and shoot numbers have been elite.
Let me cut you off and ask you something. When you did your research, did you realize that really it was only highly contested jump shots? That was the only thing he was struggling with.
Of course. Mate, you're on the right podcast. We've been talking about.
Again, he was at a 10.5% on highly contested jump shots. He was shooting 38% on everything else. So the only thing was highly contested jump shots he wasn't making, which 99% of the time, it's crazy. I'm texting him after the game. Stop settling. You're so good at getting.
Yes.
So I'm getting yelled at for he can't make these settled threes. And I'm going, I'm yelling at him to not take the settled threes. We're on the same fucking page. You know what I mean? And he knows it, you know what I mean? And again, but he's also, when you're so good, he has made so many big shots because there were some ill-advised shots in Game 6 against the Sixers that got him going. Most people would have said, don't shoot contested fadeaway shots over Joel Embiid after you started the game, whatever he was, 1 for 15 or whatever it was. It might have been worse. But guess what? Then he turned it up and he won him Game 6 and then had a 51-point game in Game 7. So that's the thing that I think is so amazing to me is he just shows up in big moments. The narrative that he wasn't clutch that was floating around for a little bit was one of the dumbest arguments.
Insane.
He had a 50-point game in a play-in game against the Wizards.
Yep.
He's had a 51-point game in a Game 7.
Record.
You know what I mean? He's had almost a 30-point triple-double closeout game to win the NBA Finals. He had the 46-point game in Game 6 to save the Milwaukee Bucks series, and then followed that up with a elite Game 7 on the road. On the road 46 and then 47. It's like, what are we talking about? Like just look. Like it doesn't. Google is free. You know what I mean? Like just take some time, and ChatGPT can just, if you say Jayson Tatum clutch, like it'll slap you a bunch of just amazing performances. So I think that a lot of times people just like to nitpick, and that's to me that, everyone's complaining right now about the NBA. Everybody has their own take on the NBA, but the truth is, my biggest thing is, I don't think the NBA as a product is the problem. I think the fan is the problem right now. I think too many fans it's just a bunch of trolls, you know what I mean, that are farming engagement. They don't even care about basketball. They don't know basketball. They don't know the ins and outs. They look at the Celtics. They take too many threes. And it's like, do you realize the reason they take threes is because when they drive, people overhelp? That's why they're leading the league in spot up threes. The reason that they don't give up threes is because they actually stay home on defense, and they have guys that can switch 1 through 5. They don't have guys you can target. So it's like, hey, you know what I mean? Bird brain, like actually watch basketball. So I think that's what really needs to get back is, think about when we were younger, we used to like go watch like SportsCenter in the morning and watch highlights of everybody. It was all positive. There was storytelling aspects. There was, all these great things. And nowadays there's just so much negativity and so much clickbait. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Go back and watch the Lakers Pistons 04 finals and tell me it's a better, more entertaining watch than current NBA. It is absolutely not. But before we move on, we got to jump into an ad break real quick. Game time. One of my best friend's birthdays is a few days after Christmas. So when I was back from law school and back when IT ruled the Garden, me, him, and 2 other friends decided to go catch the little guy, light it up. We got to watch him hang 52 on the Miami Heat and, just enjoy being buddies. Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. That means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better, and it's the perfect gift. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that make getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. As you know from hearing me rave about them in these ad reads, the WVU Mountaineers are now 8-2, prime for a big season in the Big 12 as conference play is right around the corner. Best way to get me to the Coliseum is via Game Time. You just hop on the app, search for the game or team you're looking for. Super easy, and then you're shown all the available tickets and all the best deals right on your phone. The curated deals make it even easier to find the best seats, the best prices, and maybe my favorite feature is the seat view. It'll show you exactly what it looks like from your seat anytime you buy. And when you go to buy, if you toggle the all-in pricing, you won't be hit with any surprise fees at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time.
Beautiful.
That was a good ad read. You said you might have been stumbling. That was a good one.
Yeah, now
Spoonie's my best.
Spoonie's the king of the live ad read. So Drew, we've seen like a bunch, like the unseen hours kind of content of guys working behind the scenes. Is there like a guy or an instance that like a workout got overly heated, or like I can't imagine it's JT or Embiid. Like I actually was thinking about it. You got a bunch of like insane competitors that are also like the nicest guys, which I think is not a bad thing. I think like being guys that are actually good people can also be competitive assholes at the same time. But is there like a specific workout that comes to mind, or a player that comes to mind that's just like the intensity from that perspective gets ratcheted up?
I mean, you got to think like, I've got a gym full of all-stars. That's the cool thing for me is like most of the guys that I've been with and are my guys are all stars. And so being able to throw them in the gym, I mean, I promise you, every single person that has had a chance to come out in the summer and be like a fan sitting courtside for my open runs says this is way better than sitting at a courtside playoff game. Like, because they get to hear the trash talk, they get to hear the one-on-one. There's no helping. It is straight, pure basketball. And we went away from posting recently just because of I have so many superstars, and so I try to protect their privacy. Like when they were younger, they all wanted me to post or like make sure people are like know that we're working. Now it's like they're only going to judge us by the results that happen during the season. But Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, there's so many different things that come to mind. One of the great examples that Chet Holmgren had talked about a little bit was when Chet came out. This was before he got hurt his rookie season. He came out to an open gym, and he comes down, and Joel lazily shoots a shot, and he blocks it. And he comes down to the other end and hits the spin step back on Joel. And Chet's team end up winning that first game. And so I went over to Joel, and I was got in his face and was like, listen, man, just so you know, everyone's going to leave here and say, Chet's going to be this great prospect. You should have seen what he was doing to Joel. Joel's like, I got you. So the next game we're playing, I think we were playing to 17. And by twos and threes to 17, we try to keep them short and competitive so everybody actually plays defense, don't take possessions off and stuff like that. And Joel got the ball and was like, no help, good luck, and scored 17 straight. And I remember Chet after the game was like, he went over to Joel and was like, yo, like, what can I do? And he's like, I'm going to show you how you can stop all the other big guys in the world. He's like, you're not going to be able to stop me regardless, but here's how you stop the other guys. And started like giving them teaching points and was like, listen, he's like, Drew will help you with the rest, but like, here's some starters. But like, there's so many moments like that. The one-on-one game that I posted of Joel and Jayson, there were a couple spots where Jayson would get up and then Joel would just be like, bully mode, here we go. And just like, and Jason's like, what the fuck do I do? I'm like, yeah, you can't guard him without fouling him. Like, I know that Celtics players always like, since you guys have beat them 3 times in the playoffs, like, you guys always give them trouble, but like they do they rotate and blitz and double and triple, and you can't guard Joel one-on-one without fouling. Like the ref just has to swallow the whistle for you to actually do a good job. And so, there's been plenty of moments like that, but even shooting competitions get heated, so it's cool. If any Celtic crazy fans, I got something cool. The email just went out while we were on this podcast, but I'm doing some book bundle special things just to promote the book. And, but one of the experiences is spending a week in the gym where they can, if they buy book bundles, they can come out, they can, whether it's shadow, help out, assist with workouts if they're trainers or coaches, or if they're just fans, they can come out and watch open gyms and stuff like that. But, I'm limited, but it's going to be cool to see some like super serious fans that get to like be in the gym. Imagine being in the gym for a week and actually interacting with these guys, hearing the back and forth. I think that some people that are really big hoop fans will take advantage of it just because it'll be a cool way to get a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, fuck. I'm gonna have to buy a book bundle and fly.
I'm buying all of them.
Just imagine
it's gonna be there for a month.
You get a week, and the cool thing is the lineup. Like I've got most of the best players in the Eastern Conference, so you're not only getting to see like your boy JT, but you're also getting to see all the other guys you hate on all season long. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be a cool experience. I'm excited to connect with a bunch of, fans and players and coaches. And that's the coolest thing about the book is I've got really creative on like asking people like, hey, outside of just hearing the stories, the book is literally a self-help book that also has a bunch of untold NBA stories. So like as a basketball fan, it's like the perfect book because it's Atomic Habits and, Subtle Art, but all basketball stories, all, real life stories of your favorite players. But I've been asking people like, hey, what would entice you to buy the book? And so we're doing a Q&A. One thing that I'll definitely invite you guys out is, I'm going to be doing a book signing in Boston with special guest. You guys guess away, but we're going to do that on the book launch and do some cool things. But it'll be cool just for people to see. A lot of people don't get to see the side of Jayson that's real. A lot of people just see the the very polished version of Jayson, but I'm one of the few people that can get him to be a little bit more unfiltered. So I think it'll be fun to be able to connect with fans and do that kind of stuff, and then have a couple people that end up buying book bundles come out and get that once in a lifetime experience in LA.
Yeah, where's the best place to get the book bundle so we can keep
I made it easy. There's a million different places to buy the book, but drewhanlen.com. We literally just launched the book bundle. So yeah, you guys can check that out and it'll be fun. Like I said, I mean, I'm excited for people to finally get a little bit of the, behind the scenes, like the unseen hours, some cool stories. There's a cool story about Jayson in the book about in high school. I always wanted him to be an arrogant asshole, and his mom wanted him to be, a nice, humble superstar. And junior year, they got upset. And I remember afterwards, Brandy came up to me, and, I detailed more in the book, but Brandy came up to me and basically was like, yo, whatever you got to do, I don't ever want to watch him not be – and again, he had probably a 30-point triple-double. That's what people don't really realize. Jayson was like a point guard in high school. But it wasn't – he went – they were up by I think 11 or 12 points in the third quarter, and then he went the rest of the game and only attempted, I think, one or two shots. I think one shot the rest of the game. And so his senior year, fast forward, there's a cool story about how he tapped into his mindset in the book. But senior year in the state championship, he made up for it. He actually outscored the other team in the first half. So and then he ended up breaking the state championship record for points. But you just go those kind of stories. People don't get to hear those stories, the high school Jayson stories of what really made him what he is. And so, I do think that a lot of people don't realize how confident he is. I mean, he knows there's only a few players in the world that can look him eye to eye. And, he's one of those guys. There's a reason he's first team All-NBA year after year after year. And, each year that he gets that first team All-NBA nod, he starts putting himself in categories. I think there's 47 people that have, made All-NBA as many times as he has. And that list shrinks very fast as you start adding them. So he's going to put himself in some company that, put him among the all-time greats.
For sure. And one thing, I think one of the things I appreciate most about Tatum is his game has slowly evolves. It's he adds something new every season. This season, we've kind of noticed finishing off 2 feet a little more often, drawing more fouls. Was that a focus coming into the season? How do you train for that? I mean, you probably can simulate him finishing over Joel Embiid and Rudy Gobert, but how does that work? Is that part of the plan?
Yeah, I mean those were on it. The biggest thing was we had to get his shot feeling good again. Again, he didn't shoot bad last year. He just had he had a great numbers in the regular season. Had good numbers in the playoffs minus the heavily contested shots, which some of that's just shot profile too. I don't think that his rookie season he shot 43% from 3. And then the next season, he shot a lot more off the dribble. Rookie season, he shot more spot ups, open shots, corner shots, etc. And then, once he added in diversified his shot profile, some people were like, oh, his shot regressed. And it's no, he just shot harder shots. You know what I mean? It's a lot easier to make wide open shots. And that's the other thing that I don't think people realize. And then I'm going to go back into your question is when you're the number one option, everything is so much harder. You're not attacking off closeouts. You're having to facilitate. You're the one getting doubled off ball screens. Then you throw it to the short roller. A short roller is driving and kicking for open shots. You're also the one in ISO that everybody's tilting the floor and they're pulling in too much and you're kicking. And now they're either shooting open shots or attacking closeouts, long closeouts because they pulled in so much. So he's asked to do so much. So we're just constantly looking at little ways to improve, and finishing off 2 feet is something we've always wanted him to do more of. He's definitely slowed down his pace to allow him to do that better. Getting to the free throw line is just an easy way to, give yourself a little break in the game and also get your shot feeling good. A lot of people don't realize not only is it easy points, but it's also get your shot in rhythm. And then just, playmaking. His playmaking has been great. So, I hope one day we're having these conversations about, where do you rank him among the all-time greats? But I've believed in him since he was little. I still believe in him. I still think that he's highly underrated, even as highly rated as he is. And, I'm just excited to see him to continue to grow. And I still think he has a couple untapped levels. And I think that's going to be the fun thing is helping him get there.
Oh, the old-time stuff is a lock. He's already got the resume of a Hall of Famer if his career ended today. And everything that we're talking about, there are certain guys that are going to unlock whatever the ceiling is, he's going to get there. And even coming into media day today, there's a fucking mosquito just flies past my eyes. He was like, yeah, I'm only 26. So he's completely bought in on getting to that next level of as well. So we mentioned the 46-point game, the 51-point game. Those are obviously the louder ones. But was there a time maybe earlier in his career, I've got a couple of examples where, like, I'm guessing one of the rewarding things about doing what you do is, like, seeing all that work culminate in whether it's, like, a stretch of games or, like, one game in particular. I've got one that, like, I've always thought was, like, the one that clicked. But is there any, like, games from JT's career that, like, you saw, like, oh, man, the switch, like, it finally
I'm interested to hear what's your game.
So the 1920 season before the bubble shut down, Clippers double OT. He went like hit toe to toe with Kawhi, and he had like 39, 4 and 9 or something. And it was like, and then the All-Star break started, which was great because like that was the last game that everybody saw. So everybody actually had to talk about the Celtics and Tatum for a while. And I remember that big game being like, oh shit, this guy just like outdueled. That was like still peak Kawhi, fringe peak Kawhi. I was like, this is the stuff that we've kind of been seeing percolating, and to see it and then that was like the precursor to the playoff run where he led the team to the conference finals as a 21-year-old.
Yeah, no, I don't know if there's a game or a moment that stands out for me, to be honest with you, just because, I've watched every single game from his high school career, college career, NBA career. One of the ones I thought was really cool where he stepped up was that play-in game against Washington. Because it was also that rivalry between him and Brad and two guys. Brad was the first guy I ever trained with. And so it was like the most miserable game of my watching because I'm watching literally two guys that I consider brothers, going at it. But I thought that was just because of the added pressure of the play-in plus the rivalry of somebody that he always had looked up to and still respects so much, for really paving the way and stuff like that. That was one of the cool ones. But there's so many, you know what I mean? There's so many that, that I could recall and stuff like that. But, that one stands out to me, not because it was just the loud points and stuff, but it was just because how much it meant personally, you know what I mean? And then there's some fun one. Like the problem is a lot of these games that he's had, these big games, like even game 7, I couldn't even enjoy the 51 because he also was knocking out Joel, you know what I mean? And I felt for Joel. So I'm like one of those parents, like, I don't know if you heard the saying, like, you're only as happy as your saddest kid. And like, that's how I kind of am with your clients. But, the 46 one in Milwaukee was really fun for me because, at the time I didn't work with anybody on the Bucks. And so it was one of those things where I actually got to cheer like all Celtics. That's what made the finals this year so fun for me was I didn't have anybody on Dallas. So I was all, Jayson Tatum, all Boston Celtics, which makes it fun for me. But that was another one, the game 6. It was funny because, the Bucks had left me, passes to be back, and they were not happy that I was back after the game. It was, that was really cool to be at.
Yeah, obviously game 5 in the finals, like if you're talking about like culmination, that was like the peak. He's doing everything he's like switching onto Lively, Luka, and then like, he has the 9 assists, I think it was. But that was awesome. And I've watched that game way too many times that I'm willing to admit. But we're going to do one more ad read, and then we'll last couple questions. All right. Prize Picks time, baby. Make your holidays bigger and better with Prize Picks, the best place to get real money action while you're watching your favorite sports. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Yes, you're right. It was 200 times last week when we did this, so up to 1,000 now. Join now this holiday season because Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December, giving away $30+ million in rewards during Pickmas. Prize Picks offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player protections up to 25% to provide even more value for you. Look, we love Tatum. If you want to win some money on Prize Picks, just go more on Peyton Pritchard at the moment. Like, just ride that thing until they put that number above 30 because he's like just killing that number every single game. But yeah, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Alrighty, beautiful stuff. Spoonie, jump in for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got to second the Peyton Pritchard more. I'm sorry, excuse me. He's just been on an absolute tear. But Drew, so how much we see the clips, right? Often it's a really cool clip to see Tatum like work on a step back or things like that. How often, or what's the ratio of working on like screening, defense, playmaking?
Defense, 0. Be honest with you, that's all. I don't work on defense with any of my guys. To be honest with you, defense, it's more of a scheme and tactical thing, and so each team has their different opinions on that. I also think one of the best ways to play defense, to work on defense, is just letting them play against the best players in the world. Like, you're getting your ass busted, you're going to learn how to play defense real quick, or you're going to get shit talked out of the gym. So I guess in a way we work on defense, but to be honest with you, it's mainly offensive stuff. But we do a ton of film, and just identify spots on the floor and strategies against different types of defenders, and work on all the ins and outs of the offensive game.
Yeah, because like on the screening thing, because that like talking about things that he probably doesn't get credit for, like he's gotten so much better as a screener. Like, is that something that you guys work on? Like, in obviously the playmaking stuff.
I mean, to be honest,
he's gotten way better.
Yeah, it's not. We're not working we're not sitting out there screening air. You know what I mean? But it is. We're working on targeting mismatches, and I think that's one of the things that the Celtics do great. And if you set a better screen, you force a switch, or you force you get a 4-on-3 or a 3-on-2 on the weak side. So. Again, those are the little things that sometimes don't show up in the box score. The hockey assist, the making the right play, the maybe somebody hard cuts to the basket, which pulls in a defender that now a lifting shooter gets open. Like, those don't show up on the box score, but they do impact winning. And so that's all Jayson cares about. Is winning basketball games. And so that's anything that helps him win more games is the things that we focus on. And a lot of that work is breaking down film and making sure we're talking through and walking through concepts, so that when he's out there, he has solutions for all the problems that he might experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've been super generous with your time, Drew, and I know you mentioned the book has untold NBA stories. Before we go, can you give us one you haven't hit on earlier in the show?
A JT one?
Anybody?
I'm gonna say let's go with a cool one with Brad Beal. So there's a Brad Beal one, just because we talked about him earlier, and it talks about when he had the back-to-back 30-point-a-game seasons. Mm-hmm. And so he averaged like 25 points a game one season, and I think it was like a 2018-19 season or something like that. And I remember him walking to the gym and was like, all right, what we got this summer? Like, what's our goal? What's our focus? Like, after every season, that's the first thing we do is break down film analytics. And we have a big sit down and just kind of figure out what's the next step. And a lot of times we only work on 1 to 3 things. And so, I told Brad, I said, do you think you can average 30 a game? We knew the Wizards weren't going to win the championship. We had to have something individually to motivate him. And so I was like, do you think you can average 30? Previous season, only one player had averaged 30. I think James Harden averaged 30. That was the only guy that averaged 30. And in our lifetimes, in Brad's lifetime, there was only 10 or 11 players that had ever averaged 30. And so you're like, do you know how hard it is to average 30 points a game? And this is back then. Like, right now, there's, each year there's a couple guys now, but back then there weren't. And I was like, well, you average 25. I was like, really, that's only 5 more points. Like, you can't make one more three, make a layup. Like, that's it right there. Boom, you got it. And so that was actually a super valuable lesson for me. Was I learned that a lot of times when we look at our goals, we look too big instead of shrinking the gap. And so what we did is we called it reframing. And now it's really helped me with a lot of guys, but reframing, what you actually have to do to get to where you want to get to. And so with Brad, the mentality was, all I got to do is average 5 more points. Here's how I'm going to do it. And then it became easy. And then he averaged back-to-back seasons over 30 points a game. And I've used that with so many other players. There's one story in the book about a certain player where he wanted to shoot more, make more threes, which meant I said, you got to shoot more threes. And literally we had marbles and put him in his locker. And every time he shot a three, if he made 7 attempts, moved 7 marbles. And I said, empty the damn jar by the end of the season, and you're going to be an all-star and get paid like one. And he ended up getting a max deal. And so little cool things that fans would be like, no way. Like, I'm going to do that with my high school kid, or I'm going to do that with weight loss, or, whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing is I have to be super creative on how do I get these guys to get to levels they can't get to themselves, because I always say, like, they deserve all the credit. They put in the work. They go through all the stressful moments. They're the one that has all the pressure on them. My job is like, I'm like the Wizard of Oz. I'm just in the background and behind the curtain, giving them exactly they need and what they want. And, it's for me to get them to levels they can't get to themselves. We have to tap into different mindsets. And that's what it takes. There's a lot. You don't know how many times I'm texting JT little things to motivate him, and and making sure that I add bulletin board material. And I'm never. Joel said something after he won MVP. He was like, "This is the first time you've ever said you're proud of me." Like, I was like, "Hey, bro, I'm proud of you." And I'm like, "What do you want me to celebrate?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm only giving you props if you like win a championship or win an MVP. Like, he's like, "Well, I've won scoring titles." I'm like, and I probably said good shit. Like, you know what I mean? I made it proud, but like, Tyrese Halliburton won the assist title last year, and he FaceTimed me and he held it up, and I was like, "Good job, bro. You're good at passing. What do you want me to fucking say?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I will show y'all something. Most people don't get to see this, but since I'm at my desk,
let's go.
Well, did gift me this.
Oh shit!
Oh shit, dude!
Actual replica of the MVP. So I know you guys aren't, Joel fans in Celtic world, but that's pretty damn cool.
That's badass.
Joel has one and I have one, which is really cool. So I told Jayson I really do have an empty space on my desk, and I sent him a picture. I said, "Hey, this better be one day. I better get an MVP trophy from you." So one day, hopefully, these voters will actually reward winning, and I'll have a matching one with JT's name on it.
He'll get one eventually. But yeah, man, look, you've been awesome. We really appreciate you coming on. Like, hey, if you ever want to come on and vent about how the voters or whoever's being an idiot online, like, this pretty much is what we do here for several hours every week, is talk about everybody's stupid and how Jayson Tatum's awesome. So like, that's just I
love it. Yeah, it's a great theme. It's a great theme. So
yeah.
No, I look forward. Like I said, we'll connect in person. Like I said, we're gonna have a book launch at some point in February. But for everybody watching, go pre-order the book. Get you a book, and hopefully maybe a Celtic fan or two will take advantage of the bundles. I think we're doing 10 total bundles. We're only allowing 10 people in the gym, so maybe we'll grab a Celtics fan out of this pod and have somebody that can have some real cool stories from their time in the gym with me.
Yeah, and the book is Stop Bullshitting Yourself, a practical guide to personal growth with a mindful approach. Drew Hanlen, thank you so much. Jake, buddy, good to talk to you as always. We are out.